All right, let's do some funny things. I'm kind of curious what the Swedes think of, one, Americans generally, but also what do they think of our elections and particularly our election, like presidential candidates. I'm going to do something very American and very un-Swedish. Jag är amerikan. That's Swedish for I'm American. Trump. Vad tycker ni? What do you think? Trump versus Harris. All right. And now all I have to do is go wear this in public. What could go wrong? Let's go. Let's see if anyone talks to me. But before we start asking the Swedes what they think, you and I need to talk politics. In the US, our Congress, or we can call it Parliament, has two chambers, a House of Representatives and the Senate. So, this box is the US Congress. And inside the US Congress, we have two chambers. We have the House of Representatives and the Senate that make up our Congress, our Parliament. There you go. Inside of the House of Representatives, we have 435 representatives, and inside the Senate, we have 100. In the US, Americans vote directly for the people to fill these seats, whether they are Republican or Democrat. And the same thing with the Senate, but each state sends two representatives to the Senate, and that's why there's only 100, because there are 50 states. Bada bing, bada boom. Key thing though is you're voting directly for someone, like a name, to go to the House of Representatives or the Senate to represent you. It's a little different in Sweden, I found out. This is the Swedish Parliament. Yeah, because it's one chamber, unlike the US system that has two chambers. And inside the Swedish Parliament, they have 349 seats. Now, the thing in Sweden with these representatives, you actually vote for a party, and then the party fills those seats proportionally to the votes that they received. For example, if Party A gets 35% of the vote, that means they get 35% of the seats inside the Senate, which is about 122 seats out of the 349. So you're not voting for a specific John Smith to go to the Parliament to represent you. Whereas in the US system, you would vote for a John Smith, who is either Republican or Democrat, to go to the House of Representatives to represent you. Small difference, but meaningful. Okay, are we clear on the US Congress and the Swedish Parliament? Cool. Two chambers, one chamber system, bada bing, bada boom. Let's move on. This is my pretty inaccurate, but somewhat useful political party spectrum. To the Americans who are watching this, imagine for a moment a world where there are more than two parties that you can vote for. Yes, I know that there actually are more than two parties in the US of A, but there are really only two parties, the Republicans and Democrats, that have legitimate power in the government. So just imagine for a moment, more than two that you can vote for that are actually in Congress. Because in Sweden, they have 8 different parties. Yes, 8. It's crazy. So I was in town the other day, and all the political parties were handing out flyers like, join our party, support us. Like, we have the Swedish Democrats here, the Green Party, another Green Party, the Moderates, Christian Democrats, Center Party. There are a lot of parties. So let's map them on the spectrum, the pretty inaccurate but somewhat useful political spectrum. All right, so first off, we have the left party. Lots of socialism, eco-socialism, care about the environment, pretty hardcore. Then we have the Sweden Democrats. They believe in right-wing populism, national conservatism, and some really intense immigration policies. They're on the right. But they're not to be confused with the Sweden Social Democrats. I know. These guys are kind of center-left, like social democracy ideals. So they're kind of like there-ish. We have the Christian Democrats. These are like kind of like your good old conservatives. They're kind of there-ish, maybe. We have the Green Party. Unsurprisingly, they care about the environment. Well, I guess they kind of all do, but that's kind of a main tenet of these guys. And they're, where do I put them? I'm going to put them right there. Oh, but wait. Center Party. Guess where they go? Dead center. It just makes sense. These last two are going to be a little difficult for me. We have the Liberals, which I'm going to kind of put somewhere like here-ish. And then we have the Moderates. And I'm thinking the Moderates are kind of like here. There. Yeah, I'm feeling good about that spectrum. So now here's where it gets really fun. Where do you put the US parties in relationship to the Swedish parties? So the Republicans and Democrats. Where do they fit on the spectrum? Trick question, they don't. You have to come all the way over here. The US Republicans, economically conservative, socially conservative, conservative on immigration, conservative in all the ways. I'm going to put them right there. They're like beyond the far right spectrum in relationship to the Swedish parties. Now this one's kind of tough. The American Democrats, because kind of like the Republican Party, it's quite encompassing, I would say, inside of this party. Maybe they lean more towards social welfare programs, maybe they're more economically conservative, maybe they're more economically liberal, maybe they're more liberal or conservative on national politics and immigration. There's some variation there. So, because of that, I'm going to put them there. I'm feeling good about that. You can see how the US parties overlap on the right side of the Swedish party system, because I kind of just feel like all the Swedish parties are generally just more left-leaning or leftist than any of the parties in the US. Like social welfare programs and social politics are kind of a baseline standard here. Like it's not a matter of if you have social programs, it's a matter of how to implement those. Whereas in the US, we're still debating the if. That's my pretty inaccurate but somewhat useful spectrum of political parties. Comment below if you think some of these parties should be placed differently on the spectrum. I'm curious how other people perceive these parties. It's a cold day here in downtown Stockholm. Behind me is the office of the Prime Minister and the Swedish Parliament building. And fun fact, on the weekends, you can get a free tour of the Parliament building. It just so happens to be the weekend. So let's go get our free tour.
From your 2, 3.
I can't film the tour, and my glasses have cameras in them, so I have to take off my glasses for the entire tour. So I'll see you later. Since in the Parliament building, you're not allowed to record or film, so you're getting floating bubblehead Dane to give an explanation of the photos that I took while on the tour of the Parliament building. So I want to show you this. This is the proportion of seats per party in the parliament currently, based off of the 2022 election in Sweden. And there on the left, the 107, those are the Social Democrats. They have the most seats in parliament. This is what parliament looks like when in session. It's cute, it's dainty, it's lots of blue, that little yellow flag. And look at those little buttons where they click and vote. It's adorable. And this is the photo I took while on the tour. It's empty, it's very clean, it's very tidy. And notice that it's one chamber. Apparently, Sweden did have a two-chamber system for nearly 100 years, but in the 1970s, they decided to switch to a one-chamber system because they thought that it better represented the Swedish people. So since then, they've had a one-chamber system. My American brain kind of like weirds out thinking about how the Swedes could just vote to change their government system in favor of better serving their people. Because like in the US, there's this sense of the American experiment must be the same forever and always. Like we've had the same government structure since 1776. And there's like no vibe or feeling that it can change. It just feels very set in stone that way. So looking at these parties again, this is the makeup of parliament today. And when the Swedes went and voted in 2022, they vote for a party. They don't vote for specific candidates necessarily. And based off of the votes, that's how many seats each party gets in parliament. And then those parties can work together as a coalition to choose the prime minister and the ministers to form a government. So let me rephrase that in a simpler way. When you vote in Sweden, you vote for a party. You don't vote for a specific prime minister. You're not voting for necessarily a specific candidate. Literally right now, as you're watching this, Americans are voting for their next president. They're literally voting for Trump or Harris, Republican or Democrat, party and a name, party and a candidate. My American brain has a hard time understanding that you could vote. I'm gonna vote for this party, and I don't know who is part of that party, but I vote for just the ideals of that party. Gosh, that sounds actually really refreshing, honestly. Speaking of American politics, let's get back outside and see what the Swedes think of the American election. Anyone want to talk? Vad tycker ni? Trump eller Harris? Vad tycker svenskarna?
Alltså, ingen av dem är bra.
ingen of them are bra. None of them are good. Let's try this again. In a little bit more busy area. Vad tycker ni? Trump eller Harris?
Jag bryr mig inte.
Ja, okej. Vad tycker du? Trump eller Harris?
Fint Harris.
Harris? Ja!
Så Harris hoppas jag verkligen att hon vinner.
Vad tycker ni? Harris eller Trump?
Harris.
Okej. Vem tror du vinner på tisdag?
I think not Trump. Harris.
You think Harris will win?
Yes.
Do you
It's little different.
close? It'll be close. Trump eller Harris? Vad tycker ni? Vem vinner på tisdag? Trump vinner på tisdag.
Gud ska råda. Jag brukar be till Gud att det blir rätt.
Ja.
Det är den enda som vet vad som är rätt.
Ja, precis. Vad tycker du? Trump eller Harris? Vem vinner? Harris vinner. Ja, vi hoppas det. I'm curious what Swedes think about Trump versus Harris.
Well, I'm not Swede, I'm from Finland.
That counts.
And I think Harris is better. Trump is one crazy guy.
Okay, so Harris is better, but who's going to win on Tuesday? Harris.
Yeah.
Okay. The future of the world's at stake. Harris? Trump? Harris. Bra. Jag gillar det. Harris. Team Harris. Förstås. Vad tycker du? Harris eller Trump?
Trump.
Vad tycker du? Vem vinner på tisdag? Trump eller Harris? Vad tycker ni? Vem vinner på tisdag? Trump eller Harris? Vad tycker ni? Trump eller Harris?
I think Trump.
You think Trump? Okay. Trump eller Harris? Vem ska vinna på tisdag? Trump eller Harris? Vem vinner på tisdag?
People walking by, you ask them, Trump or Harris? A woman came, terrorist. I heard her say it. When she
Is
walked
that
by
what she
the-
said?
Yeah.
She said terrorist, not Harris?
No, terrorist.
She said terrorist.
She said terrorist.
Whoa, Harris Walls. Show me the camera. Show me the camera. Whoa, Harrison Walls. Hold on. Are you Swedish?
Yeah.
Wow, you're representing. Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of mixed. Some people say Harris, some people say Trump. But the people that say Harris kind of say like, of course it has to be Harris, because it'll be a problem if it's Trump. A lot of smiles. People think it's funny that I'm out here. Vad tycker ni, Trump eller Harris? It's kind of fun talking to Swedes on the street. I should do this more often.